So who here has heard about Depop before? Oh, wow, okay. Okay, great. Who here really, really knows what it does? Okay, that's literally 2 hands. Who here has it on their phone? Okay, great. So I hope by the end of it, you all will become buyers and sellers, because there's one important statistic to share with you. I have one important statistic to share with you, which is 1 in 3 15 to 26-year-olds in the UK actually have Depop on their phone. Depop is really a phenomenon. Where do I do this? Like this, yeah. Great. Just gonna let people settle in. Great. More importantly, Depop is a fashion resale marketplace. We focus on the generation, on the next generation of today, which is mostly Gen Z, which means people who were born in mid-90s and later. Very young people. Now, who are they and what do they care about? For me, Gen Z is really the most passionate and inspiring generation out there, I have to say. I love them. They are unapologetically themselves. They are, as you can see from the pictures, incredibly creative, and they care. One thing that they really care about is sustainability. What is also important, though, to know is that Gen Zs will be the largest consumer group in the future. They will be the ones dictating fashion of the future. They will be bigger than baby boomers. Now, the best way to introduce you to Gen Zs and who they are is through Bella. I want to tell you a story about Bella. This is Bella Mcfadden. She's Gen Z. And the story about Bella is that she was really unhappy in high school. She felt like an outcast. She didn't feel she was accepted for her unique sense of style. Her unique sense of style being, as you can see, fishnets, chokers, dark lipstick, little hair clips. And so she started buying and selling clothes at the age of 17. Her first photo shoot was at a graveyard. And she, started getting into it. She built a small following on YouTube, as a lot of people in her age. And then she found Depop. And Depop felt like a really natural next step because it combined her passion for clothing and acceptance of an online community. So what Bella did is she decided that she would drop out of college for a year and see where things take her. Turns out Bella's got a real talent, and her talent is in sourcing what we call dead stock from 90s and 2000. By the way, 90s and 2000, that's considered real vintage by this generation. And dead stock is where you basically have a non-worn old clothes that are available for sale. Now, Bella creates a real experience for her users. It's not just about the clothes. So she allows her users to buy outfits from characters from their favorite coming-of-age movies from 90s and 2000s. For the aficionados in the room, we're talking looks like Skater Girl or Y2K. For those of you who are not so familiar with the Gen Z style, we're talking big boots, chokers, fishnet tights, dark lipstick. So Bella started, investing more and more time in her Depop, and her Depop actually took off, and she built a really large and very loyal following. She started making 400,000 yearly, more than 400,000 yearly. She dropped out of college completely, never went back. She's 24. If you think that's impressive, which I think it is, that's not where she stops. So now Bella actually moved from Winnipeg, Canada, where she's from, to LA. She hired a full-time team that is taking care of her Depop shop. It's Internet Girl, by the way, if later on you feel inspired and want to buy some fishnet tights. And she also started actually her own clothing line and now sells something that is called Bundles, styled by iGirl. And now listen to me, because this is really where things get really mind-blowing and where I think the next generation escapes me a little bit. So what Bella does is that she would offer you to buy a bundle for £115. All that you need to tell her is your favorite character, so whoever inspires you and you love. Because it's Gen Z, obviously, you need to also share your astrological sign. And then obviously size and so on and so forth, some practicalities as well. So if you are Pisces who love Spice Girls, such as myself, you would get a bundle from Bella that has, let's say, white Adidas pants, a tank top, a choker, and a personalized letter. Now, this is already quite, impressive, but what is really impressive is when you get that bundle, if you're a true Bella's fan, you would videotape yourself, put that video on YouTube as you're unboxing her bundle. Now, the beauty of it all, though, is that you would be making YouTube ad money on that unboxing video. So just to help you understand what's going on is what these fans would say is basically what I spend on the bundle, I make back in YouTube ad money. So there are dozens of videos with people, videotaping themselves, unboxing these videos, unboxing these bundles. These videos are more than 45 minutes long. They have more than 100,000 views. And yeah, people are cashing in on them. This is genuinely what word of mouth means for this generation. It's not, meeting somebody in a bar. It's creating your own content and putting it out there and actually making money off of it. What we say is that, and what we see here is that Depop was just a launch pad for Bella and her, what is genuinely a multi-platform digital empire. In terms of numbers, Bella has 500,000 followers on Depop. She then, through that, generated her following on Instagram, and now she relaunched her YouTube and has built up a pretty quickly following of 100 subscribers and growing. But more importantly, I don't know whether you see it, but it's fine. What does Bella and her story teach us about Gen Z? So first, as Bella, they are, and they want to be in charge of their own future. This generation is deeply entrepreneurial. They don't want to be told sort of what to do. They're not interested in, a traditional internship such as my generation. They want to decide their own future. This is related to the fact that they just grew up with technology and use technology in a completely different way than any other generation. They use mobile phones for work. They have access to marketing tools that allow them to, amplify their brand in a way never seen before. They deeply changed the way they make money. Side hustle is the buzzword for this generation. In terms of numbers, 62% of this generation says that they would prefer to start their own business than to work for an established company. They're really impressive. Second thing is community. In terms of fashion, this generation is not waiting for a room full of fashion editors telling them what to wear and what's trendy. They go to their peers, they go to their family members, and that's where they search for recommendation. In terms of number, 25% of them discover a new brand through recommendation, either from a peer or from a family member. Again, more than any other generation before. Finally, I talked about it already. They care. One thing they care about is sustainability. They don't see fast fashion as sustainable. They reuse, rewear, recycle, resell. Now, it also, and that's sort of the name of this talk, they are the ones fueling this resell generation. They are adopting resell and secondhand 2.5 times faster than any other generation. They're really the force behind the growth of this category. Now that we found out what Gen Z is about, this is actually where the secret sauce of Depop is. The secret sauce of Depop is that we've understood Gen Z, we know what they want, and we're finding and providing solutions for them. In terms of entrepreneurship, we're a marketplace. It's very easy. Anybody can set up a shop. It doesn't cost any money. It's super easy. It takes a few minutes. You just have to be dedicated and have a little bit of a sense of style. And we only take 10% on a transaction. More importantly, though, and here's the difference, is in terms of sort of a marketplace terminology, our atomic unit is actually the seller. So people come onto Depop and they buy into people, not into the items alone. That means that we really care about these sellers and we really care about their side hustle, and we're identifying those sellers who are sort of serious enough to make it to what we would call a professional hobbyist. So one thing that one of the beautiful byproducts is obviously that's a complete win-win. So if these sellers succeed, we succeed, and there is sort of a natural, symbiosis. One thing that we're doing is that we are using machine learning models to identify very early on in the life cycle of a seller whether they have a high intention and indeed will make it to what we would call professional hobbyist or top seller. So at that point, we can tell very early on in like the first month whether you have signals that would suggest that you want to take it to that level, and we can start investing in those sellers and helping them grow. We know what the success looks like, and we can help them provide, especially with data and sort of understanding how to do a good listing and how to become a good seller. On the community, this is super important for us. Everything we do is about community. It's about nurturing them, celebrating them. A few things that we're doing here is, for instance, when we enter a new market, we always start with seeding a community. There is no way this step can be ever skipped. You always have to be authentic. There is no inauthentic way or scalable way to grow the core of the community, and we take this very seriously and invest a lot of money in that. What we do as well, though, if we sort of reach certain level, when we even think about marketing for us, it's not a traditional way of marketing, because always we need to put that community first, and it's more about sort of amplifying and accelerating the community than sort of marketing in a traditional sense where you kind of like, market your own brand. Few things that we're doing. Digital marketing for us is basically amplifying testimonials. Seller and influencer marketing is, again, just basically facilitating all that Bella is doing on her own anyway. And then in terms of more traditional marketing, we would use, and you can see a creative here, we would always use our sellers first, and we would put them first, and we basically promote their shops, not Depop. The third one is about then sustainability. Sustainability is very important to this generation. Here is a quote for Elizabeth, who is 18 and identifies as she/her, and she says, "Reselling is important to me because not only am I passionate about fashion, but I'm also helping my community." Now, we are not kidding ourselves, and we don't say we're not sustainable. We still are promoting overconsumption. There is still shipping involved when even when people are buying and selling secondhand clothes, but we believe we're the step in the right direction, and we want to provide a more sustainable option. It is because we extend the life of millions of garments, and through sort of enabling the circular fashion, we're hoping to reduce waste. What this means in terms of numbers, when you go onto Depop today, you will find 90 million items on sale. It's vast, very unique, and always fresh inventory. We have more than 1 million sellers and more than 2 million buyers on the platform as well. Now, the key here is that the buyers are often sellers and sellers are often buyers, which is what creates the beauty of the community and true sense of the community. Very practically speaking, it also solves a little bit for the classic chicken and egg story of a marketplace and helps us scale a bit quicker. The last thing about sellers is that cumulatively they've already made $500 million in sales, and we have hundreds, if not actually thousands of top sellers who are making more than $400,000 yearly. They're typically of the age of 20. Clearly, I made a wrong career choice. Another thing is, and I talked about it, 90% of the users are indeed less than 26-year-old. So we are staying firmly in the Gen Z, and we actually want to continue being youthful. And by now, we have more than 16 million registered users globally. Our core markets are UK and US, but we are expanding in Australia and thinking about Europe. Now, what's next? We want to empower this generation to transform fashion. So we want to help them, and we want to be the platform that's going to empower them to do that. How are we going to do that? Many things, but some of the things are, first and foremost, we want to sort of, provide them with more tools. I talked about it a little bit with the sellers and how we identify the high potential sellers. We want to be investing more in the tools that will help them not only buy and sort of sell quicker and help them sort of with all of the pain points, but also sort of help them build their brand beyond just Depop. Similarly to how we were a launchpad for Bella, we want to be a launchpad for other sellers. The second thing is we want to also sort of start thinking about how we use data. One of the key thing and one of the key benefits of Depop, and that sort of ties back a little bit to the community piece, is that we are trend agnostic. So we are not sort of, pushing any trend or riding any trend. We're letting the community tell us what the trend is, and we're leveraging data to understand what are the up-and-coming trends. So through sell-through rate or through searches, we can identify trends typically months before Google, and we basically leverage this to then use it and curate these trends on our explore page, but also feed that data back to the sellers so that they know what to source. And lastly, we want to just we want to make them succeed. We want to, make their dreams come true. And I want to leave you with one more example of Adam. Adam is my favorite person. He is a stonemason from Bristol. So most of the time he spends on a construction site. But he also loves Ralph Lauren. He is a passionate collector of Ralph Lauren, and he started his Depop shop as a side hustle, to sort of convert his passion into a small business. Most of September, Adam was on a construction site, and then in October, Adam was selling his Ralph Lauren collection in the flagship store of Ralph Lauren in London. He was so touched. It was, I can't even talk about it, because it was really, really an amazing experience for him and for us. And sort of that's what we are about, and that's what we're trying to do.